Okay, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in living color here with you on YouTube. I'm with my boys today. I am with Snake Plissken, Jack Burton. I'm with McCready. I am Elvis. I put the little fucking thing on the bottom here. I'm here with my dudes. Tom, Anthony, and now possibly, if we could hear him, Tristan.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Yes!
McCready.
Good timing.
There he is. We're live on the air.
What's going on, fellas? What's going on, everybody?
You know.
Nothing much. How are we doing?
Staying socially distant.
Yeah. It's crazy times. It truly is crazy times, but I mean, it is what it is. Of course, I've had Tom on the show before. We talked some Evil Dead.
We did.
Yeah, we had a fun show talking Evil Dead back in the day. And then there was a huge snow blizzard I remember after. So that was
a snow blizzard and a pandemic.
Yeah.
Every time
I remember thinking like 2 hours.
Yeah, every time I come on, there's always something.
Yeah, for real. The Master of Fear is here. I tried to show his comment. Oh, okay, there you go. Master of Fear is in the Heezy.
Right.
But Tristan and AJ, actually, cool story. I met them through Tom, friends of a friend. We had a Batman pizza night, watching Batman Forever, shoving our fucking faces with pizza that Tom got. It was delicious. And I didn't know at the time, but they were hardcore horror marks like me. And then we watched, I think, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4.
That's something like that.
And it was during that movie where we all started kind of talking and like realizing it was like there are other horror fans out there that you can physically see, like not, like in person. And I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And we had planned to all go to the convention, the four of us, and unfortunately, with this fucking virus, it's not gonna happen.
No. It's a shame. I was looking forward to that.
That would have been fun. Yeah, I was pumped up. I was excited. I knew two people that were going to it, like celebrities. Otherwise, I didn't know anybody else. But I was gonna just have a good time.
Yeah, Dean Cundy. Speaking of John Carpenter, Dean Cundy, the director of photography, was going to be there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Escape from New York, Halloween. That's all right. We'll get you.
You guys know more technical terms than I do.
I didn't know he was even going to be there. AJ told me, he was like, "Oh, he's at the bottom," and I was like, "He's at the bottom." I was like, "What the fuck would Dean Cundy be? Dean Cundy should be at the top."
Yeah, Dean all the way at the bottom. I mean, he also did Back to the Future, Jurassic Park. Besides all the early.
I know he directed only one movie, Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Only weird movie. We shrunk ourselves.
We shrunk ourselves. I have the VHS somewhere. I promise. I know I have that VHS, and I remember I saw it directed by Dean Cundy. I was like, "What the fuck? What happened to Dean Cundy?"
Looks like Joe Alves. He directed Jaws 3. His only directing credit. Jaws 3D, directed by Joe Alves.
Joe Alves, bro. But I figured we'd start this off fun because I've had Tom on the show, so Tom has told the world, his love for superhero films and stuff like that. But the first question I'll give for Tristan and AJ here: how did y'all fall in love with horror, man? Was there a launch pad moment? Was there one movie? Was there one person in your life that influenced it? Like, how did y'all fall in love with the genre?
Do you want to go first, Anthony?
Okay. For me, it was my dad. AMC always had like a Fear Friday. If you stayed up to like 8 or 9, they play first it was Cinema Secrets. It was this old show where Stan Winston hosted it, and he'd show you how certain movies were made. So I was probably like 4 or 5. I think they showed the Gungan battle from Star Wars Episode 1.
Really? That of all freaking things?
They showed how Lucasfilm developed Jar Jar and the Gungan battle, and then the earliest memories are like Universal monsters. I watched Frankenstein, Dracula, and Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. One movie though that I think really hooked me though when I got a little older was Fright Night. So if I had to pick one movie, I guess it'd be like the James Whale directed Frankenstein or Fright Night.
Awesome choices, man. That I love both those movies, especially I love Bride of Frankenstein a lot, and Fright Night is just Fright Night's like quintessential 80s classic horror. But how about you, AJ? I mean, I'm sorry, Tristan.
Yeah, well, it was Saved by my dad and a little bit of my aunt, but I was never really into Universal horror stuff till later on because I didn't like the black and white and I didn't want to, So I was really into like Michael Myers, Freddy, and a lot of the late 70s, 80s stuff. Really got me into it.
That's awesome too, man. Yeah, that's the stuff I kind of got into
Mine
too.
wasn't as well explained as Anthony's.
So you loved Scream way before I did.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's funny. Like I grew up in most of that era too. Like I honestly, I'm one of those people. I started with 70s and 80s stuff, and then I just experimented with everything. Like
that's kind of what I did.
Yeah.
It's fun to jump around. It's fun to go, sometimes I just want to watch some foreign horror flicks. Sometimes I want to watch some zombie flicks. Sometimes I want to go classic Universal. And sometimes I want to talk about the master of horror himself. I'm talking about the man of the hour, the man with the power too sweet to be sour, John fucking Carpenter, the topic of today's show. We can go around and we could just have, this is an open discussion. So if there's a film, a scene, anything you want to talk about, we could talk about it. But I figured, I started with the brothers. Now I'm gonna start with the other brother, my good brother Tom. Tom, what was your introduction to John Carpenter, man?
Well, I mean, Halloween was the big thing. I watched Halloween, and that was like my first like Carpenter movie. But then I love the '80s, so like Escape from New York, Escape from LA, Big Trouble Little China, The Thing, They Live, all those like weird, wacky '80s kind of like horror, but like kind of weird movies. I like those, so they were always kind of cool. But Halloween was the start of. I watched that. I don't know if I watched that with my dad. I don't know. I think it was my dad. I watched it with my dad, and then after that, these guys got me more into horror. They showed me more stuff, more movies, and all kinds of stuff like that. Between like little clips here and there, like sitting. Didn't we watch all the Evil Deads at my house one day or whatever? Because I'd never seen anything, so I watched.
The show was coming out. The show was either out or just coming out. Yeah.
So I wanted to watch the show. So you're like, oh, you got to watch the movies. So then we watched all the movies, and that was cool. But yeah, probably Halloween, I think, was the first thing, and that's a great movie. I like that movie. The first one, the original one.
Not the movie.
I won't say anything about the brand new one.
Did you not like the new one?
Is that right?
Yeah, I didn't really like it at all.
It wasn't amazing. It was like some cool scenes, but it was a little too over the top.
It kind of felt like a Force Awakens type thing where they tried to go like really nostalgic.
They went for nostalgia, but instead of like doing it well, they were like, "Nah."
I mean, my favorite part is the soundtrack. It was just cool to hear him do music for any type of movie again. There was some cool tracking shot where you follow him into the. It almost looks like Halloween 2, the version. Yeah. He goes in through the garage, gets the hammer, kills the woman in the kitchen. Then he looks over the baby's cradle, and you think he's gonna kill her.
Yeah.
The baby doesn't kill the baby. Then he goes next door and stabs the woman. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I think most people, if not everybody, I don't know if Tristan and AJ, if their introduction was Halloween, but my introduction was Halloween as well with John Carpenter. And the first thing that always got me was the piano score at the beginning, and just how simple it was, but yet how effective. And I was like, man, like this is fantastic. And of course, Halloween caught fire and this huge franchise. But I mean, there are so many great Carpenter films that I watched because I got into Halloween. Like Halloween for me with John Carpenter's career was the launch pad point. Yeah. And I was just like, oh man, like what else has this guy got? And that's why I went into each and every other different Carpenter film that I've seen. But is there any Carpenter films you guys would like to discuss like in depth? Like because
like for me it was Halloween, like you guys said, but for me, the second movie was probably Escape from New York. That was just like my favorite movie for a long time.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. There he is, Kurt Russell. For me, just like it was just such a cool idea. The fact that New York City is a maximum security prison.
Dude, for real. I rewatched it the other night with my grandmother. And we just had a fucking ball rewatching this movie. And I love Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken. I mean, it's one of the best performances and characters ever, because up to this point, and he'd even say this, and it's the reason he took the role. I mean, Kurt Russell was always known for playing like lighter characters, not really what we know him today as the badass Kurt Russell, but up until this point he really wasn't the badass Kurt Russell that we all know and love.
Child actor, right, for Disney.
Yeah, he was a child actor for Disney, and his first movie ever, he actually plays a kid, and he actually kicks Elvis in the shin, and Elvis was like, I like that kid, and fucking of all people, Walt Disney loved Kurt Russell, and that's why Kurt Russell had his entire career. And then you look into Escape from New York, where he comes in and plays one of the best anti-heroes of all time, Snake Plissken. Just the dialogue, the iconic look with the eye patch and like the whole suit. That's all Kurt.
He's got great lines in it. He doesn't have that many, so everything he says is memorable.
Yeah, and he says it with such a cool, cold, and like, I don't know, man. I just adore him in this film. Like, I love "You gonna kill me, Snake? I'm too tired." And just walk the walk and everything. Like, he added so much to a character that I think easily could have been overdone, easily could have been underdone. I think he just nails it on the head, man. And he's the reason I think that this movie, Escape from New York, is so rewatchable. But let's run through some of the supporting cast. I know. Lee Van Cleef, Adrian Barbeau, of course. Right. Always love Isaac Hayes in this. What do you think of Isaac Hayes?
Is in that too.
The Duke of New York, one of my favorite characters besides Snake Plissken.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Dude, and Ernest Borgnine playing the cabbie, right?
Right.
Yeah. Ease it up, Snake. What does he say? Easy, Snake.
Easy, Snake.
Going too fast. You have mines on the bridge, 69th Street Bridge.
Yeah, I like, it's just, I love the creativity of it. I think it's just such a brilliant film, and like, it's definitely like, if I reach for a John Carpenter film that's not a horror film, it's pretty much the one I grab for, because it's just so like sci-fi 80s, Kurt Russell, perfect supporting cast, of course. Oh god, I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's also an alien. He's passed away recently. What's that?
Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean Stanton, yes. I love, he plays the brain.
Go for it.
Yeah, man, yes. You just have some fun movies.
Tom Hanks in it too.
Yeah.
I said that beforehand.
Oh, you did? I didn't hear you.
Yeah. You have the scene where Kurt Russell's battling the wrestler in the ring with the barbed wire baseball bat and the nail bat and like fucking battling to the death. I mean, that's some great shit. Like, I eat that shit up personally.
I mean, I think it influenced a lot of like, modern, other similar apocalyptic future movies, I mean, like, I don't know. Was there one called Doomsday? I've never seen Doomsday. I think it's called Doomsday. That came out maybe like 10 years ago.
It was a piece of shit. It was a rip-off of Escape from New York. Yeah.
You looked at on the cover, and there's been other movies too. I think one of them was called Detroit 9000. It's like this anti-hero in a city full of crazy people, and kind of like a Western. I mean, I think he wanted to make Westerns, John Carpenter.
Yes.
And they add a lot of the those spaghetti Western undertones to these movies. Like, they're just they have these like wacky out of left field characters, but everyone's memorable. Of course, the awesome scores, which you're going to get in pretty much any Carpenter film, is a great score. I love it. The Escape from New York score is like one of my favorites.
That's probably my favorite if I had to pick. Like, maybe not my favorite of his movies, but my favorite like score.
Yeah,
he did.
That has the classic 80s score to it. Like, it has that real heavy synth, and it's like kind of weird. It makes me feel like the 80s. Like, you feel like you're in the 80s with that song. I mean, when the movie came out, it was in the 80s. But if you watch it now, I watched it yesterday, I was like, ooh, this is pretty cool. Like, you felt like you were like listening to like an 80s record.
He always had the name above the title too. That was something that caught my attention, from when I was much younger. He always had his name above. John Carpenter's the thing. John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah, and I think that's great because he really does live up to it. Like if you see his name on something, we're gonna watch it. Like I know a lot of people didn't bother to like The Ward very much, but that was John Carpenter's last film. But like just for his name being above it, I was like, I want to watch this. And his Masters of Horror stuff and Ghosts of Mars, even his lesser Memoirs of Invisible Man. Like I will watch anything with his name above it.
That was an odd movie. I forgot about that one. The Invisible Man movie with Chevy Chase.
Yeah, he was coming off a 4-year hiatus with that one. Fucking weird film, man. Bad effects. It doesn't age well.
No, and then Sam Neill is the villain who would be in The Mouth of Madness and then Jurassic Park. But
yeah,
it was a weird movie.
Wow.
Very weird flick. I agree.
Like a Carpenter movie. Kind of felt like they just needed a director, so I don't know. I guess they got him to do it.
Yeah, for real though. We got a couple questions in here. We got one asking, well, it's just telling us The Thing is his favorite horror movie of all time. Also, the Horror Boy asks, what's our thoughts on Vampires, the 1998 James Woods versus Vampires film, man? What are y'all's thoughts?
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I think that was one that I was a fan of when I was much younger. I always liked James Woods. I thought it was fun. It was definitely towards the end of his. I think it was that, and then he did Ghosts of Mars, but not my favorite. But I was really into it when I was much younger, like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah. How about you guys?
I never saw it.
I was never that into it, to be honest.
Yeah, I know.
Never really did much for me.
Yeah. I've heard, believe it or not, a lot lately. I know the Horror Boy, my good buddy Nate, and my buddy Ryan. I know they both love vampires. Maybe I have to revisit the film. I haven't seen it in a while either.
Yeah, I haven't seen it probably since like I said. I mean, I used to love it when I was much younger, but I haven't seen it since then. But I remember really liking it. I mean, again, kind of has that like Western, neo-Western thing. I think one of the Baldwin brothers is in it.
Yeah. I think Stephen Baldwin's in it. What's crazy is I think that and From Dusk Till Dawn came around the same time, and I like From Dusk Till Dawn way better. Like if I think of that era, I think of From Dusk Till Dawn with vampire movies. So maybe I should give it a rewatch. I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely one I'd like to give a relook because
one cool thing was like I don't remember if they were coffins or not, but I do remember I think they come out of the ground as opposed to like when the sun sets. I think it was vampires. I always thought that was kind of cool how they were hiding in the ground. I mean, they are undead, so.
Dude, yeah, that fucking. I don't remember hardly any of it. I really would have to revisit it because I don't know. I can't even say love it or hate it or like it or not. Like I'm like kind of here. I don't know, kind of in the middle.
Is I think Scream Factory has a Blu-ray coming out, like a special edition.
Yeah.
They've done almost all the Carpenter movies. I mean, at least
they have a bunch of steel books. Like I know they did Assault on Precinct 13 steel book, like a bunch of stuff like that. But
that's a good movie, yeah.
Dude, I love that. We'll definitely get into that one.
Classic.
Dude, absolutely. But we'll ask my man Tristan, what John Carpenter film would you like to discuss, my friend?
Well, my favorite is probably The Thing.
Oh, let's get it. Let's get into it, man. Give me your thoughts on 1982.
I just think I think it's his best movie as director wise. Like, I love the way that's shot. Camera work's awesome, and I just love that the ending's pretty downbeat. I like that darkness. You know what I mean? Like the.
Yeah, I mean, it's so. It ends with a lot.
It's just very dark ending. They accept that they're gonna pretty much die.
Yeah, when they blow up the whole camp, and then Keith David and Kurt Russell are just sitting there, and then you don't know if Keith David is an alien or not.
Right.
They don't really. They just how it ends.
Yeah, I this was probably the second or third Carpenter film I ever watched, and I remember like right off the bat, just the cold atmosphere and that music as you see the dog running through the snow. I mean, that's just how you open the film. And they're shooting at, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on, man? And then of course we're introduced to some of the best characters. Like I'll never forget Windows as long as I live.
Wilford Brimley's in there.
Wilford
Brimley. The one guy, I don't want to spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking cow.
Yeah.
Like
Keith David too. Keith David's in there.
Yep, Keith David, and of course Kurt Russell's McCready, who again nails it in a Carpenter film.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't go without mentioning the amazing special effects in this film. I think they are arguably the best in any movie.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, with the autopsy table, right, Tristan?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, the clear, and then goes through, gets his arms bit off, fucking screaming, and then the spider creature, and I love the one character. Yeah, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
That's got to be one of the most iconic like horror film sequences that scene, right? I mean, that's like in every like little sizzle reel that you see of like horror movies, like back horror clips. That's always usually in there.
Right.
Yeah.
It came out.
What's that?
I think it was a bomb when it came out. The thing, though.
Huge box office bomb, unfortunately. The movie did okay. Like, I know Guillermo del Toro said that in Mexico it was a huge hit.
Wow.
And he went to go see it a bunch of times. But in the States, for some reason, it bombed. I'm not positive what. I believe it came out the same week as E.T.
That's what I heard.
I was just thinking that.
Which,
it's opposite. Aliens on Earth. One's friendly and one... You remember the scene where Wilford Brimley, he's investigating, like, he has the organism on the thing, essentially, on the autopsy table or whatever. And he's looking at the old little computer, and it says, like, it's able to tell him somehow that if it gets to civilization, the world will be infected in 72 hours, and it breaks it down hour by hour. And like, literally reality right now.
Yeah, for real. I always like the idea of the perfect imitation, like, and the doubt between each other, because I think some of the best horror films, like movies like this, movies like Alien, movies like Jaws, which we actually saw on a big screen together. We had a great night. They really focus on the horrors of trust and the horrors of, can I believe that the guy next to me is really the same guy? Can I believe that I'm not infected? And I love the tension between them. And of course, the blood testing scene where they're using the wire to burn the blood, and the blood reacts. I mean, the first time I watched that, I mean, I had no clue who was the thing or who wasn't. So I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm like, holy shit, like what the fuck's gonna happen? And then again, shit hits the fucking fan, man. And like, I adore the way he builds the tension in this movie. It's so well done, and there's always a payoff. That blood testing scene, payoff. Autopsy scene, payoff. The scene where the dog is transforming and they fucking torch it. I mean, that's fantastic. And the climax, and of course, how Tristan was saying, the dark finale, and someone said it in the comments here. I love probably my favorite line of the movie. Where were you, Childs? I love that line, and the way he says it, because there's such there's such fear in his face and his tone when he says that. And Childs is like, I was looking for Blair, and you have to figure, you're like, oh my God, is he infected? Is he not infected? But we're gonna just wait here in the snow. And I love that Carpenter leaves it up to us. How does this end? How does this story end? And
he kind of laughs too. It's like no matter what he did, he almost like he couldn't beat it. No matter what he did,
Right.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, it is. I think it's like one of the most perfect horror films of all time.
Oh, I completely agree.
Perfect movie.
Yeah. It's definitely my favorite Carpenter film too. I will agree with Tristan that it's definitely my favorite. It's just, it has it all. It has the great special effects. It has the great acting. Has the great direction. Great soundtrack. I love the "There is superstitious." I love that. Just a fucking classic, man. The Thing is a 10 out of 10 for me.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, so another guy says The Thing may be his favorite film. Aiden Vavra, dude, I love The Thing. The Thing is one of the best horror films of all time.
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, we got a question here. Does anybody think the book by H.P. Lovecraft, At the Mountains of Madness, could work as a sequel to The Thing, assuming you guys have read the book? Have any of you read the book?
I started reading it recently, actually. I do love H.P. Lovecraft. I'd have to finish reading it, but people said that because I think the Thing was based on I think his name was John Campbell or something like that, who goes there. I haven't read that story either, but I think it's definitely. I think he definitely takes, has influences from H.P. Lovecraft. Have you guys read any H.P. Lovecraft?
I did. I took a course on H.P. Lovecraft actually in college, and we watched The Thing in the class. And we also watched Reanimator of all things.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the Herbert West Reanimator stories. I mean his stories are awesome. He was a writer in the 20s and 30s, but I think he definitely. I mean, like a lot of his stories are all mood. They usually have a bleak ending. It starts. It's very much like In the Mouth of Madness, which is also influenced by H.P. Lovecraft, and how
the fear of the unknown tropes, like that's like the big H.P. Lovecraft thing, and xenophobia. Like there's a lot of deep shit when you read H.P. Lovecraft, but I think it's fantastic work. Like I think he was a really, really good writer.
Yeah. To answer that question, though, I would say yes. Anything by H.P. Lovecraft. There needs to be more H.P. Lovecraft movies. It was
Stuart Gordon was doing them. May he rest in peace. But I wish they'd do some more H.P. Lovecraft adaptations. Like I know The Void wasn't an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation, but it was kind of Lovecraftian attempt.
Came out. Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage.
Oh hell yeah!
It was pretty good. It was interesting. It was really well directed. Richard Stanley directed it, I think he was fired off of The Island of Dr. Moreau, the Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando movie.
Oh man.
But I just picked it up. I was like, you know what? I love H.P. Lovecraft. Let's see what it's got Nicolas Cage. So
yeah, you're definitely gonna be entertained with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
Age match.
Entertaining, man.
Dude, for always. So AJ, would you like to pick a Carpenter film we can discuss now?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I already hit. Let's talk about you know what? Let's jump up to Masters of Horror. I know Tom, you haven't seen this. I don't think Tristan's seen this either.
I haven't. No.
Well, basically, there's a show called Masters of Horror. I think it was on Showtime, but it was created by Mick Garris, who's done a lot of other cool stuff. And like a horror director like every week there was an hour-long horror movie basically directed by a famous horror movie director. So John Landis did one, John Carpenter did one, Stuart Gordon, Tom Holland who did Fright Night did one, but it was an awesome show. I think it's on Tubi TV right now. You watch the whole thing for free. Huh. Yeah, it only ran like 2 seasons. But yeah, Carpenter did 2 of them. He did Cigarette Burns, and then the second season he did I can't remember the name of it. Ron Perlman was in it though.
Pro-Life.
Yeah, Pro-Life. That had some heavy stuff too. But Cigarette Burns is one of my favorite things Carpenter has ever done. I think it's really, really cool.
Is that the one with Norman Reedus?
Yeah, Norman Reedus is in it before Walking Dead. Yeah. And basically, like, Norman Reedus is assigned, I think he's like an insurance investigator or something. My memory's a little foggy. But he's assigned to hunt down this movie because Udo Kier.
Yes, Udo.
That's what it is. Yeah, now it's coming back to me. Udo Kier is a film collector guy, and he hires Norman Reedus to hunt this film down. So apparently it's like a haunted film. It's evil. Like, again, it's the unknown. They never really explain it. They don't say. But apparently the guy who made it went insane. So he tracks it down eventually, and just shit ensues. Just weird shit, man.
I love that episode, man. I love it because and it has that epic feel to it, and it was Carpenter's return after Ghost of Mars, because Ghost of Mars, not one of my favorites, definitely a film I'm not a fan of. And then you waited about 5-6 years and then did this episode, and I remember when it premiered, I was like, let's see what John Carpenter's got. And right off the bat, he let his son do the score. Cody Carpenter nailed the score.
Phenomenal.
The scope, having Udo Kier and Norman Reedus. I think Norman Reedus gives the best performance of his entire career in this episode.
In that episode, yeah.
He's trying to find the film The Absolute Demand.
That's it.
And all this fucking shit happens, man. Like, it is fucking wild. And what I love about it is it's a movie that in a lot of ways I think goes back to the, similar to what Halloween did with building up the aura and the character of Michael Myers. Like they just tell you all the shit that went wrong. Like everybody that attended the premiere died, like shit like that. And people could say, oh, that's silly. But I personally, when I seen it, I was like, holy shit. And Udo Kier has one of the actors in the movie like chained up in his fucking basement.
Oh my!
And like the guy is still in the makeup that he was wearing in the film, and he's like, this is my only piece from this film. And I'm like, Udo, you sick bastard! What the fuck are you doing? This is a fun ass episode. I know towards the end, Udo Kier starts feeding his fucking intestines to the camera reel.
Yeah, the camera reel. Oh, that was awesome. It was so gross. It was cool. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best episodes of Masters of Horror. Definitely like in my top 5. I thought John Carpenter returned with just such a bang.
Yeah.
Again, good acting. You got good supporting characters. I believe there was some kind of subplot where his girlfriend passed away. She died, like she OD'd. And like there's a lot of psychological stuff where she's kind of talking to him and shit. And I don't know. I just thought it got everything right. It got that atmosphere back. It had that scope that Carpenter films usually have. And I don't know, man. I adored it. I love Cigarette Burns, man.
Yeah, it definitely did have that subplot, though. I think the father of the girlfriend is looking for Norman Reedus, right? Or something like that. And then at the end, meets him at the theater. Yeah. It was really good.
It was fantastic. And what did you think of Pro-Life? Because I know a lot of people on the internet will tell you Pro-Life's a piece of shit, but I personally like it.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, a lot of people say like it's low budget. It's or it's like somebody made fun of the effect at the end of the movie or something because you don't really see the monster because isn't she going to give birth to a devil or something?
Yeah, it's basically The Thing meets Rosemary's Baby with Ron Perlman, and I thought that was just as awesome as it sounded. People personally didn't like it; they felt it was political or whatever. But I don't know, man. I love it. Ron Perlman basically plays like this badass Christian, and he doesn't want the baby to be aborted. Like the baby must be born and shit. And he's shooting people left and right. Like I love Rob Perlman, man.
Yeah, he was good in that. And it's kind of like Assault on Precinct 13. Like it's a siege.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, like he takes over the hospital or the clinic, and it's a lot of fun, that one. I like it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I don't like it as much as Cigarette Burns, but I really like Pro-Life. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I think it's funny. The first season of Masters of Horror, I think, is the best. Like, I think almost all of them are good. And then the second season, I think it's still good, but it's like I think it's definitely a little bit of a step down. Like they did a lot more CGI in the second season, where I was just like, what are you doing? Like, just do practical. Like that in Cigarette Burns, there's a decapitation scene, and it's practical and it's fantastic, man. I remember popping when I saw it.
I remember that. The Warden one is great too. That's a really wacky one.
The Black Cat or Dreams in the Witch House?
Both. But yeah, Dreams in the Witch House is crazy. Like the witch and the rat and the baby, and it's just like
that's a fucking crazy ass episode. Dude, we have to get together and watch the Masters of Horror because that's like one of my favorite shows ever. I'm so glad you dig it. Because I know so many people that love horror like us and they've never even watched it. Like, and I'm just like,
it just wasn't around for that long, and I think it was kind of ahead of its time. Like, I think if we did it now and gave it to Hulu or Netflix or Shudder, like, I think it would just be really cool. Like that, did you see the Creepshow TV series?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, what did you think of that?
I thought some of them were really good. Like the John Harrison one I thought was great with the dollhouse, and then everybody seemed to hate that, so I don't know. I thought some were good, some weren't. I thought the ones, weirdly enough, I can't think of his damn name. Was it Nicotero? The ones that Nicotero directed, I thought I was so let down by.
He did the one with the guy. I think he's from Breaking Bad. He's I don't know, Tom. You would know who he is. He was just on The Mandalorian too. The villain at the end.
I know who you talked about. He's Gus Fring on Breaking Bad. I forget his freaking actor name.
Yeah, him, Tobin Bell. They find it is a little bit of. It was fun, but yeah, he directed that one, and he directed the one with Bob, the little puppet creature.
That one, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I guess it was supposed to be funny, but like, I just sat there and just like kind of, it was like, just looked at this weird face the entire time. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
You see the werewolf?
Giancarlo Esposito. That's
Yeah.
who it is.
Yep. You see the werewolf one?
I loved the werewolf one, but the werewolf one was a blast. That one I liked. I think I forget who directed. I know Savini did one. Like, I agree with you though. I think that's a great point. I think Masters of Horror had it come out now would be a much. You're definitely right about that. And like, you know, had these guys, you know, if Craven and Romero were still alive, I think they would have done awesome stuff. And I think you could have gotten some new guys, just like you know, Lucky McKee did an episode in season 1. And they brought a guy like John McNaughton back, who had only done like Henry series, you know, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Right.
That show was great. I missed that fucking show, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Now, those 2 Carpenter episodes that he did was that a long hiatus that he had done since a movie?
It was a 6-year hiatus, I believe.
Okay.
I think Ghost of Mars was 01, and then Masters of Horror was I guess only a 4-year hiatus, so 05-ish. But it felt like when you see Ghost of Mars, you're like, what the fuck happened to John Carpenter? And when you see Cigarette Burns, you're like, oh, nothing happened to John Carpenter. John Carpenter's still John Carpenter. Like, it was just one of those. And then people will bash The Ward, which I actually would like to talk about that one eventually. I didn't hate that movie either, and I know people do. But we do have a cool question here. Let's say John Carpenter wanted to direct again, and you guys can pick his next project. What would you have him do?
Oh man,
That's a good question.
You have any ideas, John?
Does it have to be horror? Like, I mean,
Could be anything. I mean, he's made fucking Elvis. He's made fucking Escape from New York. I mean, anything.
Yeah, he's directed a few different things. I mean,
would you like to see him tackle something that like maybe he's never done before, or go back to a certain style? Like, what would you guys do?
I mean, I think I think it's got to be something like Cigarette Burns, where he has total control, where it's like it's an independent type thing. Because I think where he gets like something like Memoirs of an Invisible Man, or even like, I mean, I don't know the story behind Ghosts of Mars, but even that, like, you have Ice-T, or I think it's Ice Cube running around shooting people, and I think Jason Statham is in it. It definitely has, I think, some like studio meddling, I'm sure, or even like an H.P. Lovecraft movie, something like, you know, kind of self-contained.
I'd like to see him adapt like some horror comics. Like, there's a bunch of horror comics that they have that haven't really been like done. I'd like to see him maybe do something like that, like adapt that into a movie. But the same thing, all creative control, like nothing, you know. Like, I was gonna say, like, but they already did it. They did that Lock and Key show, because that would have been good for it, because that's Joe Hill.
Yeah.
He would have done a good job, I think, with that if they let him. I mean, the show was good, but I think it would have been like if he was on that little creative control, that would have been nice. I'm trying to think of anything else he could really do.
I mean, even if he did Creepshow, I mean, Creepshow was renewed for season 2, and I think Nicotero was in the middle of shooting and building stuff for it when all this, they had to stop because of the virus. But even if they brought him on for like a Creepshow, I mean, I had a lot of fun with the thing he did. That, you know, little anthology movie. Yeah, for me, I think that would be cool. Have him do Creepshow, or, you know, like a show, like Tom said. Maybe see what he could do with TV or Netflix or something.
Yeah.
I think that's the streaming is the big thing now. So if he can get either a movie or a show on streaming, like, you'd have so many people follow behind on that.
Yeah.
I don't really have like a direct like thing though he could really be tied to. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking horror comics. So I'm trying to think of like names, but it's like stuff that I don't know if people would know. But I think you would be good on it.
I mean, like, we don't need any more Halloween movies. It'd be cool to see him direct a Halloween movie, but I think he technically is a part of it. So
I believe it or not, I think I'd like to see him go back to, because the main thing, if you listen to any Carpenter interview, he'll tell you there's 2 types of horror. There's the horror out there, or the horror within ourselves. And, you know, no movie, I think, where he's talking about the horror out there do I like more than The Fog. I love this movie. I think this is like, I think when I think about like movies that I'd like Carpenter to return to, if we ever did get that one more Carpenter film, which I don't think we would, I think The Ward will be the final one. I would love to see that, a campfire story
Yeah.
of John Carpenter, something he created new, different, maybe even a critique on where the genre is right now and where everybody are remaking these films that he made. So, I don't know if you ever seen the remake of The Fog. It's a piece of shit. Never see it.
It's awful.
Like, I just think it would be cool to just one more campfire tale John Carpenter has to tell us, and he's going to creep us out. He's going to come up with some badass music. He could have Cody help him out with the music, his son.
Yeah, right.
And I think that would be really cool, personally. I think that would be, if I wanted Carpenter to come back for one last scare, I would love him to tell us about the horror out there. And I don't know, I've just has always been the thing I loved about him. And the evil within ourselves is a prevalent one too. I mean, Halloween is the evil within him. He's evil on two legs, and he has the blackest eyes, devil's eyes, stuff like that. Like, he's always been great at building auras and building characters and building tension like that. So if he came back with something like this, man, I would be so down.
Yeah, it's fun. I love The Fog. It's a cool movie. Some people don't like The Fog. They just,
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. I rewatched it recently. I rewatched it actually on April 21st, which is funny because I think that's like the day that the movie takes place. Coincidentally, too, I swear. But okay, so I'll pick one here. I'll pick one out of the torture rack. I'm gonna go with probably my second favorite one, and this is the one that I don't know if y'all will agree with me putting it so high, but I fucking love this movie. It is Roddy Piper.
Oh, Lord.
They live.
It's a great movie.
I like if a movie, if I'm gonna have 5 movies buried with me, this would probably be one of them, just because it's so fucking kick ass. But what are y'all's thoughts, man? We can start with Tom. We can just go down and.
All right.
I just think it's hilarious. I just think it's a really funny movie. It's definitely an 80s movie. It has that really weird feel. A wrestler as like the star of the movie. Kind of, it's before its time, because now that's all that's in movies, with The Rock and all these other wrestlers being like, movie stars. So for him to do a movie, that was kind of cool. And I just think it's cool. I like that's like cool sci-fi to me. Like, to just have like people, like alien looking creature things disguised as human. It's cool.
Absolutely,
man. I like.
Me too.
I mean, I love it too. I think it's not like a scary movie necessarily. It's kind of like satire in a lot of ways. They're like an old school satire. I love that. It was almost like an attack on Reaganomics. Like how he looks at Dollar Bill and he puts the glasses on and said, "This is your God." Or like billboards that say "consume." This is a lot of fun. And like Roddy Piper, classic line, I'm all out of bubble gum. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There he is. There he is. I love Fright Rags. Fright Rags is awesome.
You gotta love Fright Rags, man.
Yeah, definitely.
How about you, Kristen?
I think it's a lot of fun. I think on a budget it would be a lot better, like a higher budget. I feel that movie would be a lot more better.
Yeah.
I just think it's a lot of fun. I don't hate it, but I'll watch. You know what I mean? I'll watch it and I'll enjoy it once I sit down. But it's not something I go to grab to watch. If it's on, I'll watch it now.
Yeah,
I agree. I think with that higher budget thing, that would be good. But I also think that the low budget that it had makes it like kind of
has a
awesome.
charm to it.
Yeah, because like you're looking at like almost like these practical effect looking like kind of weird alien things. And it looks like almost like a really old like Universal like Studios ride.
Yeah.
Like those crappy animatronics that you would see pop up, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, the thing is so stupid," but you like are still like, "This is cool."
Yeah.
So that's what it kind of reminds me of. I think that's really awesome.
I'd say it's like one of my favorites. It's not as like serious or dark as something like Thing or I think around the same time he did Prince of Darkness. So it's definitely it's a lot of fun. I love that movie.
Yeah, I always loved just the entire tone of it, because what's a shame is he was coming off Prince of Darkness and he was coming off Big Trouble in Little China, and I love those movies too. And box office wise, they bombed. They were not successful. And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna get me a mainstream star, the hot rod himself. I'm gonna come up with this wacky plot where this guy is seeing all these aliens and stuff, and if you put the sunglasses on, I love the rules of this movie. If you see the sunglasses, you could see. And, they have the watches. I got one that can see. Like, I love that. It has the best fight scene in movie history between Keith David and Roddy Piper. It goes on for like 8 minutes. They just beat the fuck out of each other. Classic, like body slams and stuff like that. Like, it is wonderful, man. I love the fight scenes in this movie. Of course, Meg Ryan. I always thought, not Meg Ryan. Jesus, Meg Foster. Meg Ryan. Jesus Christ, man. I'm just out of it. Just everything about this. The score is wonderful. The tone is wonderful. The sense of humor is great. It has that great Carpenter scope, the great Carpenter theme. I love the finale where Roddy Piper just goes off on, him and Keith David shooting up this fucking TV network. And, he looks at the fucking, the satellite dish and Meg Foster's like, don't shoot it. You can't do this. This is, we're taking over. And Roddy Piper shoots it. He gets shot to hell and just flips her off. Like, I love that. Like, that is the best, like, middle finger as the film cuts to black, and we see that all these aliens are uncovered, and of course Gene Siskel's an alien. There's one lady, she's fucking an alien. Like, I think of the sense of humor and the tone is just wonderful. I wish we got more films like this from Carpenter. Like, I adore this movie. I love They Live, man.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's awesome.
Would you say stuff like They Live, stuff that you were saying that's a bomb, or that bombed the box office, like before They Live, like Big Trouble Little China, The Thing bombed, like stuff like that bombed in the theater, they're basically considered cult classics. I mean, Big Trouble Little China is like so ridiculous and so over the top and so just crazy of a movie, but yet if you talk about it, people know it, and they're like, oh yeah, I know that movie. Like, that's a great movie. It's funny.
I mean, like, a lot of, Stranger, all these things, American Horror Story show in the 80s, it's like cool to be obsessed with these movies now.
Yeah.
Back then, they were like, they grew over the years, but now, like, everybody knows these movies now. And they keep making Halloween movies, so he did something right. I mean,
it's incredible to me because a lot of his movies were flops in the box office. I mean, how is this movie a flop? Like, it doesn't correlate to me at all. Like, that's mind blowing. Like, and then he took a movie like Christine, which was just a director hire because Stephen King's name was hot at the time, and he said, "Fuck it, I'm going to put my name with Stephen King's name, and the movie will make money." And sure enough, it did. So it's pretty incredible. I love Christine too. But a lot of his films I see and have noticed they are cult films. Like, even films, I know people that love Village of the Damned. I know people that love, vampires, like, from before. I know a lot of people that love that fucking film.
Yeah.
So to this day, who knows? Maybe 20 years from now, people will be talking about The Ward. Who the fuck knows? Like,
I mean, he always, I think he's a little out of his time, maybe. Even like with this Escape from New York. And, at the end, he's supposed to give the tape to the president, and he gives him the cabbie's tape with the music. And then, there he is. Yeah, and then he rips up the tape that's supposed to save, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, whatever was supposed to save the world or whatever. It had like the nuclear plan or whatever it was on there, and he just ripped it up.
Yeah, and then like even Halloween, it was so ahead of its time. I mean, he was just building like I said earlier, this like supernatural. You don't really know he's a force of nature until the end. He shoots, falls off the balcony, and then he's gone. How many movies now do that? Or after do that? Yeah, I mean, how many movies do we get where he gets shot or stabbed in the head and then he keeps walking? Like, it was just ending. And it's almost like when you watch that movie, it's almost like Dr. Loomis knew it was coming the whole time. It doesn't really look, at least in the first movie. They changed it a little bit in the second movie where he just rants and prays and how he shut him 6 times.
Oh, I love him in the second movie. This guy, he's not human. I love that shit, man. Sam Hain. It means the Lord of the Dead. And the nursery school. Oh man, he's so great in that. And it's time, Michael. Boom.
Get it doing now. He's going back to the other sister.
Yeah. What do you normally do? Fire warning shot. Boom. Fucking classic, man. Before we move on to another one, I'm trying to fit. The audio sounds all muffled on my end. I don't know. Is it muffled on y'all's end too?
Yeah.
Sounds like crinkle.
I checked. It's not mine. I'm trying to fucking figure out which one of you it is.
It's probably me. Knowing my luck.
No, I don't think it's you. I'll just try. I'm gonna remove and add y'all back. Let's just see what the fuck happens here. Okay. I don't know. I think I fixed it. I don't hear it.
All right.
Here now.
I think we're good. I don't.
It sounded like.
I don't know which one it was.
Oh,
okay, here it is. All right, whatever. I don't know. I don't know which one of you it is, but it fixed it for 2 seconds. All right, so we go back to Tom. Tom, what you want to talk about another Carpenter film?
Let's talk about Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You know what it is? My whole thing is that with him, with Carpenter, he chose Kurt Russell for so many of these movies, and it was like the perfect casting choice. And I think Kurt Russell like built a career off of the Carpenter movies to then go and do everything that he did, because like you said, someone said it before that he wasn't really like a badass action hero before that. It was like he was doing like kind of different, like just different stuff. He wasn't really doing action films. So then he does, Escape from New York, and it's like, oh, this guy can actually act like he's kind of like a badass character. Let's put him in some action roles. So I think that going forward, he was given opportunities and he had range. Because Big Trouble in Little China, it's action, but it's a lot of comedy too. So for him to do that, it was like perfect. So then he goes and does something. I mean, it has nothing to do with Carpenter, but then he goes and does Guardians of the Galaxy, which was action comedy, same balance, and it worked perfectly. Russell was perfect in that role when he was in. So I think Big Trouble in Little China was like his intro to that. Escape from New York and Escape from LA aren't really like comedic, I wouldn't say.
Yeah,
I mean, they have like funny weird things, but it's funny, weird things not meant to be that way, maybe. It's more like we find it funny because it's just wacky. But then Big Trouble in Little China was like, this stuff is just kind of funny.
Yeah, that was a fun movie. 3 storms, then the one guy inflates and blows up like a balloon.
Yeah.
And Lopan, he's an old man, then he turns into a young guy.
Yeah.
The creature is on the back of his truck at the end, and all the battle in the alleyway with the I don't know what they are, ninjas and
like weird ninja. I don't know what the hell they were. Yeah,
I
don't know. It's just a fun movie to me. Like that's a fun '80s movie.
Oh,
like if you're like, oh, let's put on a really fun kind of out there '80s movie. That's something that's in that kind of choice selection of those things. Like Lopan, like what kind of villain is that? That is perfect.
Dude, that's
weird. It's like, it's great.
It's like a creepy deal. Has his hand hang.
Yeah.
What are you?
How about you, Tristan? What's your thoughts?
On Big Trouble in Little China? Sorry, it's just I can't hear.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know. I swear it's not mine.
No, it's not right. I really, when me and Anthony were younger, we used to say the lines from that movie all the time to one another. Like, that's all in the reflex. There's Jack Bird on the Pork Chop Express, things like that. It was a big part of my childhood, that movie. We'd watch it and we'd imitate scenes from the movie. Like when they're diving into the water to swim, me and him would jump into the pool and pretend we were swimming like they were, the pipe or whatever. So, I mean, I really enjoy the movie and I like it for what it is. And there's some good laughs and some good scenes in that. It's a fun movie. I mean, I don't want to say it's going to win an Academy Award or anything, but it's a fun movie.
See, I love hearing stories like that where, you guys saw this movie and outside of watching it influenced you? Just going in the pool is and quoting Jack Burton, and like I found myself
Yeah, we
doing
still
that
say
in movies
stuff
like They
once in
Live.
a while now.
Like if I go in somewhere and I'm in a amped up mood, I've come here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm on about like it's just. These movies are iconic, and like like you said, the dialogue is, I love. Yeah, it's raining cats and dogs, and you know what old Jack Burton says.
Yeah.
I adore Big Trouble in Little China. I think it's the perfect like '80s cult film.
Yeah.
Love his sidekick, of course. The shirt. I mean that artwork's iconic. It's a perfect movie for his career, I think, because
Yeah.
I think it's the perfect storybook ending for them together, too, Kurt Russell and John Carpenter. I know they did Escape from LA, which I'm kind of in the middle on. I'm not the biggest fan, but I always look as this is the finale of their tandem, and because I think it's a perfect fucking 80s cheese fest, and I enjoy every bit of it, man. I think it's
I can't take Escape from LA.
What's that, Tristan?
I can't take Escape from LA. He's surfing with lava. Then he's playing basketball. It's too much for me.
I don't like Escape from LA either, to be honest. Like I know people will probably be pissed, but I don't know. I never was the biggest fan in the world. But Big Trouble Little China.
I don't think anybody else like Kurt Russell could play that role. Like if they said like, "Oh, we're redoing," I mean, I wouldn't want to see it, but like, "Oh, we're remaking Big Trouble Little China." You can't. Kurt Russell is that character. Nobody else can play that character.
And that one's really the '80s. Like when I think of
it wouldn't work now.
It wouldn't. Like they've tried this movie, like AJ was saying before, they've tried to rip off this movie 100 fucking times, and it's really never worked. Even when they did the sequel, it just didn't. There's just something about Escape from New York that I think is just so simple. Yeah, I dig Big Trouble Little China though, man. I'm a big fan. So okay, I forget who we have to pick next. It was AJ or Tristan. The floor is open.
Tristan, is it your making the crackling?
What happened? Sorry.
Noise.
It's not. No, it's not you guys. It's the. I can't hear everything.
No, but is it your phone that's making that like crackling?
What was the question?
Is it your phone that's making the crackling sound?
Hello?
Hello?
He can't hear. He can't hear
you. Now I hear you.
Your phone, is it making that crackling noise?
I don't know. Is it?
What are you leaning it on? Are you making popcorn behind it?
No.
Here, I'll try this one more time. We'll figure out who has the problem, and then maybe we'll just do like a join, rejoin. Hold on. Let's see if it is Tristan.
Yeah, it's Tristan.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't be a big deal. I don't want to show.
I don't hear it now.
Take the popcorn off the stove.
Yeah, it's kind of hot now.
Yeah, get the pan out of your ass.
You try holding it. Maybe it's just because it's like. Do you have it like laying on something?
Not now.
That's much better.
Better now. Yeah, it's because it was leaning on whatever.
Oh, so
I guess I don't know.
Somebody stop eating or popping popcorn.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming from you. I just don't know why.
I'll do you all a favor and leave if you want.
Maybe this is the next plot of the next Carpenter movie. Maybe this is it.
Don't worry.
The popcorn.
It's been a pleasure, fellas.
All right. We'll finish. Okay.
Well, I feel terrible. I love Tristan. I'm so sorry that happened. I don't know why that happened.
We love him.
We do love him. He's the man. But okay, so then AJ, you could pick another one if you'd like.
I mean, we mentioned Christine a little bit. I do really like the movie though. I love the way it looks. Again, I think it was Dean Cundy. Yeah, there it is.
Believe it or not, this wasn't Dean Cundy. I posted a video saying like Dean Cundy's the best cinematographer ever, and somebody was like, "No, Dean Cundy didn't do that one." I was like, "What?"
I would have sworn he did that movie.
I could have sworn too. It looks just, it's a great. I don't know who the DOP was. I can look. Donald M. Morgan. I don't even know who that is.
Morgan, thank you, wherever you are.
It does have a great look to it, I gotta say. And this movie looks fantastic on blue.
I mean, again, it's not one of my favorites, but I think it just looks beautiful, that movie. I just think he did a great job directing that movie. And, Arnie Cunningham and the bullies and, the crazy.
Buddy Repperton.
Yeah, Buddy.
I know the Dead Pit guys, they wrote a song about Buddy Repperton, and it was so fucking funny. Like, they're like, Buddy Repperton.
I just love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The freaking car on fire chasing him down the road and then slowing up and then speeding down to run over.
I gotta say, any other director, this would have been a goofy movie. I don't think this would have worked, but I think John Carpenter makes it scary. And I think John Carpenter really brought a lot to this. This was the only collaboration he ever had with Stephen King, but I thought he nailed it. I thought he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
I adore the kind of slow transformation from the lead character from, I'm a nerd and I listen to my mom and dad about everything to, I'm a leather jacket wearing badass. And of course, the car, whatever music it's playing is the car's mood. So there's somebody trying to break in. They put a Little Richard, you keep on knocking, but you can't come in. I mean, awesome stuff. I just think this movie is great. Like it's super underrated. It's definitely like one of the most underrated Carpenter films, I would say.
I think so too, yeah. He also did around that time, he did Starman with Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen.
Oh man, I don't own that one, but I dig that. I love Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges is great. I mean, what's interesting about that movie is I think it was pretty successful. Starman. I think he was nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah, I believe that's the only Academy Award nomination anybody ever got from a not a Kurt Russell film, a John Carpenter film. But he did a great job, and I love Karen Allen at that time. I mean, Indiana Jones movie. Yeah. She wanted to do like The Sandlot. She's like one of my favorite character actresses that was around that time. I think just because she's so, plain and she's so like blue collar.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she's very pretty. She has a beautiful smile. Always loved her in Animal House. I almost always forget she's in it until I watch it.
My favorite of Indy's girlfriends. So.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I think everybody would agree with that. I mean, she's fantastic. And I thought she had really good chemistry with Jeff Bridges. I mean, how could you not? I think Jeff Bridges is just one of those really charming, actors. And I like how he slowly but surely kind of is like learning civilization in that movie.
That was cool.
Where I think, I can't get no satisfaction. He's talking like a robot throughout a lot of it. Just fantastic. The scene in the bathroom, like with the other guy, like. It's a fantastic movie. I actually should pick that one up. I don't know if there's a Blu-ray out of it, but man, I should give Starman another look.
Yeah, that's a fun movie. It's a really, really good, another really polished looking movie. Really fun movie.
Our buddy Donald M. Morgan who did it, and he did The Rage Carry 2, which actually, Junebug Films. I like that movie. I like The Rage Carry. Might be the only motherfucker ever that does, but
somebody commented they love the score from scene, the backtrack a little bit.
Yo, totally, man. I figure I bring this one up because I don't know if y'all have seen it. If not, we could just gloss right over it. Have y'all seen Elvis?
I've never seen it.
No.
I've read about it. I never got around to seeing it.
I have to say, this is one of my favorite biopics ever. I thought this was fantastic, and nobody really talks about it.
No.
I will say, and this is saying a lot, I think it's Kurt Russell's best performance in a Carpenter film. He does such a good job playing the king of rock and roll, and it's a long one. It's almost 3 hours long. It's basically like the opening is it's his comeback concert, like he's arriving, and they're saying all this shit about him, and he takes a gun and shoots the TV. He doesn't want to hear the negativity, and then it's literally the rest of the movie is his entire life up until that point.
Wow.
Season Hubley plays Priscilla Presley. Excellent performance. She was gorgeous, just popped off the screen. The music, of course, just excellent. I mean, if you're an Elvis fan, I really, really enjoy the music in this film. And I thought, the supporting cast did a really good job. Shelley Winters as Mama Presley. She almost had me crying in scenes like where she's, my son is so humble and stuff like that. Because that's the thing with Elvis, as compared to other celebrities or people like that. he really paid back everybody that got him there. He wasn't one of those guys that was like, oh, I'm famous now, I'm going to turn my back to everybody that, you know. I love that. And Kurt Russell really does bring out the humble side of Elvis. And the best scenes in this are when he's talking to his dead brother, which is where I think Carpenter comes in, you know, a little bit of a horror element there. His dead brother, Jesse Garrett. And he's talking to him and he says, you know, Jesse, I'm not going to live past 40. I know that, you know, it's just not, my lifestyle doesn't. And it's morbid. It's sad. It's bleak because he does accept that even though he's gotten all the success, you know, that lifestyle, it never ends on a high note. You always are looking for that next high until ultimately it's over. And I don't know, man. I think this is a very underrated John Carpenter film. I highly recommend, man.
Yeah, I love Elvis too. I grew up with Elvis.
Oh man, me too. You got a favorite Elvis song?
Probably Hound Dog, just because my brother always played it. So.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. I love that. I love Blue Christmas. I always when it's Christmas season, you guys catch my fat ass playing that with some chicken nuggets and Wendy's and all that shit like that. I love that song. How about you, Tom? Though, you got a favorite Elvis song?
Favorite Elvis? Probably Heartbreak Hotel.
He sings that like 5 times in this. Like that is the number one song sung in.
It's a good song. I like that one. I like the one from I like Devil in Disguise. That was in Lilo and Stitch, and that was good.
That's awesome. For sure, man. Wow, that's a holy shit. I want to watch that now, man. I've been watching like old school Disney VHS tapes because like I'm a hipster like that. I don't even want to get Disney Plus. I'm just like, yo, fuck it. I have Beauty and the Beast. I have the big box of like Snow White and Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Alice in Wonderland, all I do. Fox and the Hound. I mean, I have the weird ones too. But yeah, man, I'm dude. You make me want to rewatch it. Ohana Means Family. I love those movies too.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But here, I mean, we could take a little detour here and we can get back into some films too. But I wanted to ask, what do y'all think sets John Carpenter apart from the rest of the, you know, field? Like, you know, all due respect to Craven, Romero, all these guys. Like, and I think they're great. But what do you think is that key factor that sets Carpenter is like, because I'm not sure, is he definitely the top for both of you, the master of horror in your opinion?
Yeah, he's definitely up there. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah, I can't pick one. I mean,
there's so many other good horror movies that he didn't do that I like. Like, I like Halloween. I like The Thing. But I don't know. Like, there's so many other good horror movies. So I can't really say, like, he's, like, the best. He's my favorite. I can't say that. So.
And for me, like, you know, like you mentioned, Wes Craven, phenomenal. You know, I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street. And then, I mean, I'm a big fan of New Nightmare.
I love it too.
That's definitely a precursor to Scream, I think, for sure.
Definitely.
You know, like with Romero too. I love Dawn of the Dead. I love all the Dead movies, really.
Yeah.
But you know, I think his thing was kind of like like social commentary. I think, you know, each of those movies, like, you have Night of the Living Dead is in the late 60s. I mean, you know, I think there's definitely some Vietnam stuff, whether he knew it or not, kind of hidden in there. Dawn of the Dead, that's kind of like now too. Everybody wants to go to the mall, even though there's a virus that's killing you.
Yep.
You know, Day of the Dead, you have like Cold War tensions, science versus military, or you know, they want to go to war, but the scientists want to stay inside and take time to figure this out. Again, kind of like now.
Yeah.
Scary how ahead of his time Romero was, right?
So ahead of his time. I mean, those two movies, all the movies, and then even like, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Survival of the Dead, but like, there's some stuff in there too, like the community going against, you know, splitting in two and going against each other, and Diary of the Dead, everybody's using the camcorders and the cell phones, and Land of the Dead has like a 9/11 thing going on, how like Dennis Hopper almost looks like George Bush, or like some kind of like
it's fucking true.
Like, he's a old white guy in a huge tower overlooking like a decaying city.
It's rich versus the poor. That's Land of the Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and then Craven, I think he definitely stretched out horror as much as he could too. I think, you know, I don't know if, I mean, I think he had some commentary, but I think too, like he tried to, you know, experiment, you know, and do some different things. And he's referred to a lot of them as art movies in some of his interviews. You know, he saw them as like experimental art films. He definitely had the whole thing satirical thing going on with Scream, but I think Carpenter just had like a really ballsy, like simple approach, and you always knew it was one of his movies because of the font. He always has the same font.
Yeah, same font, same sound.
Yeah, same music and sound. John Carpenter is, comes above the title, and
John Carpenter is a brand at this point. Like, every movie, John Carpenter is like, that's the brand. Like, that's his brand. He
has a comic book series now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
You definitely think that's what sets him apart. It's like the brand name kind of thing.
Brand name, but definitely, like, me and Anthony said, like the score, the tone, all that stuff, like the sound, the look, the feel, all, like everything it's only like for a Carpenter movie. Whatever is in a Carpenter movie can only work in a Carpenter movie.
Like for me, if Romero is social commentary, like, or if Craven is like the youth versus the adults, or whatever, I think Carpenter is like going against conformity and going against like
normal.
Yeah.
Like the normal.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his movies, Assault on Precinct 13, there's a black cop on his first day on the job and a gang attacks him. And I mean, again, that's not really right up front in the story, but you could certainly look at it that way. Or Escape from New York, the guy is he's not really a typical hero. He does the right thing, but then he says, "Fuck you" to the president.
Yeah.
Oh, that ending is great. Every time I watch that, I'm just like, golf clap,
Prince of Darkness too is a weird ending. I mean, like, is that like subplot of the love story, and then she sacrifices herself, gets stuck in the other realm or whatever in the mirror, and just ends with him touching the mirror. It's like he always ends with like it's never a happy ending. I mean, I don't think any of them really have 100% happy endings,
Yeah, very few of them do. And like, I think you guys both make some great points and as to why Carpenter sets people, is set apart. And I think the thing I love is he brings a lot of the same cast people back. Like, Adrienne Barbeau is in a lot of those movies. Granted, I know he was married to her, so maybe that's why. But I mean, you have Kurt Russell in a lot of these movies. Charles Cyphers is in all in the Elvis movie. He's like the guy that signs Elvis, and I'm like, yo, Sheriff Brackett, what's good, my dude? Sheriff Brackett signed Elvis. Who knew? He's in Assault on Precinct 13. Like Charles Cyphers in almost all these fucking movies. It feels like. Yeah, Adrienne Barbeau, I said, Susan Hubley was in a few of them. I know she's in Escape from New York, Elvis, and Keith David's in a lot of them. I think that gives, Romero did a lot of that too, where it gives your films a homemade feel. Whereas, these people weren't just making movies for a job. These people were almost like a family, like a backdoor family, where they were having a good time making movies. They were laughing on the sets and stuff like that. And they were in, turn. I think that correlates. I think if you're having a good time making a film, we're going to have a good time watching your film. I think that usually correlates. I mean, not every time, but with Carpenter films, man, I think, most times, if not. Especially the early work. Like I loved revisiting The Fog.
Those movies like late 70s, early 80s. That's my favorite stuff, man. That's
me too.
Best work.
It just has a certain charm to it that I think is hard to, recapture. I wish there would be more filmmakers today that would just do that. It'd be like, but with the studios, that's hard to do. It's hard to be like, oh, that's my friend. I want him to play the lead in my next movie too. And they're probably just like, no, you're going to take whoever the fuck is the most popular star, who's the cheapest we can get.
The only way you get to keep a cast together now is if it's a franchise. That's the only way the casts really stay together.
That's the Avengers movie is the primary example. It's the same. But another thing that I like is that, like Chris Evans playing Captain America. It's almost like I feel like they saw how good he was being Johnny Storm, and then maybe those Fantastic Four movies didn't perform as I guess no Fantastic Four movies ever really performed how I wanted. I feel like they almost were like, "Yo, we like this Chris Evans guy. Let's bring him back." And again, I think he nails it as Captain America. So I always like that. At least it's there are few and far between moments like that. But I think Carpenter's films, they all almost have that where you're just like, oh man, there's this person I haven't seen in a long time, and they keep frequently appearing. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can get into some more. I actually gotta ask, I gotta take the poll of the room here because we've mentioned almost all of his films at this point. Do you have a least favorite? And if you do, is it The Ward? Because I know I've been doing my research. It seems like it's that or Ghost of Mars that everybody puts down, and maybe Village of the Damned as well. But I personally like The Ward, and I don't know if we can go into a long discussion if the movie's fresh in either of your minds, but I don't know. I don't hate that film like everybody else does. Personally,
I've seen it, not in a long time. I think Amber Heard is in it, right?
Yes, Amber Heard is the lead. I believe Daniel Panabaker is also in a supporting role.
I liked it. I was definitely a little disappointed, I think, because he didn't do the music. I don't think. But I liked it. I thought it was an interesting little movie. I definitely want to watch it again. But I mean, my least favorite, I really had to pick, would probably be like Escape from LA, just because like there are things I like about it, but like I just love that first movie. And like I remember I got it on VHS tape from Mr. Cheapo's. Tom Live. And I got it on VHS tape and I watched it in my room on my old box television. I was kind of disappointed. I mean, it was cool to see Bruce Campbell as the surgeon, but
yeah,
fucking Steve Buscemi's in it too. Where I'm just like, what the fuck?
Pam Grier is in it. I don't know. For me, it was just the whole thing with surfing on lava, like we mentioned earlier. That kind of killed it for me. It kind of felt like a James Bond movie, like playing basketball, and then the scene at the end where they blow up the helicopter, but everybody blows up except for Snake Plissken and the girl. really, really bad CGI, and it was like, couldn't you just shot them all out of like something besides fire? It looked like somebody drew fire on a white.
It's true.
That's my least favorite. I don't know.
How about you, good brother Tom?
I would say probably that too, only because I haven't seen that many movies, but you guys are very more well versed in film, especially with Carpenter stuff. So like I've only seen like a handful of Carpenter movies, but of them, probably Escape from LA is like my least favorite. It's still, I find it just funny.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. But I don't like, I guess it's not my first choice to put on of a Carpenter movie.
Yeah, like, I'll be honest, if it was on TV, I'd watch it. But like, have it.
But I'm not gonna seek it out.
If I'm sitting in front of my Blu-ray rack, I'm not. I don't even think.
I'm not taking that.
I don't own it either. I have no interest in.
Yeah.
I know Shout Factory's coming out with like a $30 edition. I'm just like, no.
Yeah, no.
Doesn't deserve $30.
I'd rather wipe my ass with $30. I get more use out of it, and toilet paper is a pretty, rare thing. The only unfortunate about The Ward is that it stars Amber Heard, and I like the movie, but the ending ruins it. I like the movie too. I kind of dig the movie. I guess I think people were wanting another cigarette burns, and it's not that. But I look at it almost as though like at least he ended on a decent note. Like I don't look at it like I love Romero, but Survival of the Dead is to me like such a flat ending to one of my favorite careers. Movies like I know this wasn't his last film, but My Soul to Take, which Wes Craven did, like. I think if you compare it to those movies, it's a fucking masterpiece. But it's not worthy of what his career was.
It's definitely a letdown. I think, like you said, I mean, I think he kind of came back a little bit with Masters of Horror, and it was just like, I mean, those were hour-long, like short movies, I guess. But like, I think people wanted a little more. It was definitely different. I think it was a mostly female cast, which is different for him. I mean.
It was basically like Girl Interrupted, but like a horror movie version of Girl Interrupted. That's basically what it was. But I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah, it was different. It was definitely a different movie. There was no like macho lead character. It was all these young actresses, which was kind of cool. I mean, it was different. That's the best. I mean, I have to watch it again, but it was definitely different for him to do.
Yeah, I noticed like a lot of people when it came out just shit on it. And this is his worst film.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know, man. Like I'll go my least favorite. I will say Memoirs of an Invisible Man or Dark Star. I don't really like Dark Star either.
I've never seen Dark Star.
Star. If you take drugs, I would recommend it. Like I've never taken drugs before, but I feel like that would be the only way you could enjoy that movie. It's fucking stupid. It's like. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a really, really, really bad version of Alien, like really bad and cheesy. And like, it's almost like a comedy, but I don't know. I've never really been a big fan of Dark Star. I know, weirdly enough, Dan O'Bannon helped him with that movie, and then he went on to write Alien and Life Force and direct Return of the Living Dead, and Dan O'Bannon went on to have a good career and stuff like that. So it's weird that it's almost like a student film, but not a big fan. But I will go with Memoirs as my least favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it doesn't feel like a movie. Chevy Chase is in it. It's like I don't even know. Daryl Hannah is the love interest. So really and it kind of it's a decent premise, but they tried to make it I guess a superhero movie of its day. After Batman came out and then Batman Returns. Okay, then Dick Tracy, the Phantom. Let's do the Shadow. Let's do the Rocketeer. It felt like one of those movies, and it kind of just didn't really work.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think that's a great way to put it. All right, though. Is there any other Carpenter films you guys would want to talk about, or?
I think we got it all.
I think
we did too. I'm not
good ones. Yeah.
I can't even think of one we missed. So if we did miss, everybody let us know. The villain of Dark Star is a beach ball. Yeah, it looks like a fucking ladybug thing. I don't.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Bouncing around, right? I've seen that part of it. Yeah.
It's a bizarre film, man. Yeah, so I guess in closing, I just want to say that John Carpenter is, one of the best ever. And these films really do speak to the testament of how great he is. I mean, I think he's a guy that was able to reinvent himself more than once. I think he was able to dabble in other genres. We have Halloween, but then we have Escape from New York. And then we have, sci-fi horror with The Thing, which I think is the best sci-fi horror film ever made. And I think even, you look at a movie like Prince of Darkness, which we didn't go too in depth, but I almost think in a lot of ways it's almost like Argento feeling throughout a lot of that movie. And I know Carpenter's a big fan of Argento. I almost feel like that was his idea to go, I could do this too, Dario. I love Prince of Darkness for that reason.
Slow burn. Yeah, it's a slow burn, man.
Yeah, but it's creepy, atmospheric, and again has kick-ass music. So I mean, that's all you can ask for, really, of the Carpenter film. He's made good biopics. I love Elvis, one of my favorite biopics. He's really, I think, covered it all. And I don't know if he'll ever direct another film, but I think his legacy, these movies, the font, the brand name, as you guys all said, the music, all these stuff, the homemade feel with all these actors and stuff. I think it stands the test of time, and I think most of the horror community would probably say he's not. If he's not the best, he's one of the best. And long live John Carpenter, baby.
One of my heroes. Yeah, I love him.
The maestro.
Long live the king.
Long live the king, man. I 100% agree. But I just want to say thank you all for coming on. I really did enjoy talking with y'all. Tristan too. I don't know if Tristan's watching, but Tristan, thank you for coming on. I'm sorry about the audio issues. Maybe we'll definitely have you on again. We'll see if we can fix those. But yeah, I had a blast talking with y'all as always, man.
Good time.
Yeah, I would love to come on again anytime you have us.
Dude, anytime, man. AJ, I your passion and knowledge, it's so humbling because I love that there's someone else, that lives where we live with glasses and a good smile, just like me, that knows as much as me. You know what I mean?
Yes,
we're kind of twins, kind of.
And yeah. Anytime I'll come on again. We could do an Avengers one next time. Talk about Avengers.
Oh God, Tom said for a while he was going to do his own podcast. I still want to see that, man.
Why don't we do how horrifying the new Star Wars movies are?
Oh shit! Are you in the boat with me? You don't like them?
I don't hate them as much as you do, but I think it's a good topic for another video.
Yeah, I don't think anybody hates them as much as me. I want to kill somebody when I watch those. I still haven't seen 9. I still I'm in protest of seeing.
I like 9.
I'm with Tom. I liked it. It's not
9 is really good, and I like 7. 8 is the only one I don't like. 8 is just a mess.
I have a couple problems. I have a lot of problems with that movie, actually.
So JJ's cool, but Rian Johnson is a fucking idiot. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. Next time.
Well, definitely. I would love to talk about those movies because I would definitely be the toughest one on that Gong show for sure. And but that would be a fun topic. But dude, both of you and Tristan, thank you so much for coming to the graveyard.
Thanks.
You're always more than welcome back, and obviously stay safe through all this stuff.
Yeah,
I hope this stuff is nearing an end or starting to come near. I don't know, but it's just it's depressing times. I want to get back out to the real world, you know.
Yeah, well, all we can do is watch our favorite movies, you know, whether
Yep.
it's from Carpenter, Romero, or whatever, Adventure Wars.
100%.
Stay in, stay safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. You know, Ty, Aiden, Horror Boy, Ryan, everybody that was commenting and stuff. I appreciate that. I will be back next week. I don't know what the topic's going to be yet. I'm going to try to get 2 very special guests on. We will see if that happens. I'll see if I can work the Grande magic. But until then, I am the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass live in living color here on YouTube. Too sweet, everybody. Thanks to my good brothers. And long live the king of horror. Peace out, guys.